Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pape,
Here.
Councilmember Shavetta, Councilmember Hands,
Here.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Here.
Councilmember Leahy,
Here.
Councilmember Neal,
Here.
Councilmember Ryder,
Here.
Councilmember Silvers,
Here.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, next item is public items. Members of the public are encouraged to use this time to make comments about matters that do not appear on the agenda. Comments about items on the regular agenda will be taken up as each item is considered. Please note individuals making public comments will be limited to 5 minutes. We have a sign-up sheet which nobody has signed up for, but does not preclude you from coming forward at this time. Is there anyone out there that didn't sign in but would like to speak at public comments? Okay, I see no one rushing to the podium, so, all right, we will close out the public items at this time. The next item is consent agenda. All items under the heading are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case that item be removed. Considering we only have one item on there, does anybody have any discussion of that item before I call for a motion? Okay, seeing no discussion, I would entertain a motion. Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve consent agenda item number 1.
okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Okay, Ms. Yodridge.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Hands,
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy,
Aye.
Councilmember Neal,
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder,
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers,
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, yeah, next item up is the mayor's report, and one of my favorite times is to be able to read proclamations. And we have several proclamations this evening, which I'd like to read at this time. The first one is, whereas Public Service Recognition Week was first observed in 1985 and is celebrated the first week of May, and whereas Public Service Recognition Week honors all people who serve our nation in federal, state, county, local, and tribal government employees, and whereas public servants use this time to educate others about the work they do and why they chose public service careers to make life better for all, and whereas through this education, public servants connect with citizens, improve perceptions, and help inspire new generations to go into public service, and whereas I urge all citizens to learn about what government workers do to positively affect our community, and I personally thank all our local public servants for working diligently on our behalf. Now therefore, I, Bob Pape, on behalf of the City of Merriam Council, do hereby proclaim May 7th through the 13th, 2023 as Public Service Recognition Week, proclaimed on this 8th day of May, 2023. Bob Pape, Mayor. That's the first one. Thank you guys for all you do. All those public service hours. All right. Second proclamation. Okay, whereas Jewish American Heritage Month is an annual celebration of generations of Jewish Americans who have helped weave the fabric of American history, culture, and society, and whereas Jewish Americans have created lives for themselves and their families and played indispensable roles in our nation's civic and community life, making invaluable contributions to our nation through their leadership and achievements, and whereas the Jewish community continues to be targeted in the United States and is consistently the most likely of all religious groups to be victimized by incidents of hate, and whereas anti-Semitism, including harassment based on actual or perceived Jewish origin, ancestry, ethnicity, identity, affiliation, or faith, remains a persistent and disturbing problem in American society, and whereas Jewish Americans have made crucial contributions to our collective struggle for a more just and fair society, leading movements for social justice and working to ensure that the opportunities they have secured are extended to others. Now therefore, I, Bob Pape, on behalf of the City of Merriam Council, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Jewish American Heritage Month. Proclaim this 8th day of May 2023, Bob Pape, Mayor. Number 2. Okay. And third proclamation. Whereas Bike Month was established as a national celebration in 1956 and is supported by the League of American Bicyclists, and whereas the designation is meant to showcase the many benefits of bicycling and encourage more people to try bicycling, and whereas bicycling offers an opportunity to invest in more equitable access to key resources for communities and households without a car, and whereas investing in connected and protected bike lanes and related facilities can be beneficial for local businesses, and whereas the City of Merriam has accepted a bike and pedestrian improvement plan to incorporate more bike lanes or sharrows in future projects, and whereas May is also the time of year for people to celebrate Bike to Work Week from May 15th to May 21st, as well as Bike to Work Day on May 19th. Now therefore, I, Bob Pape, on behalf of the City of Merriam Council, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as National Bike Month. Claimed on the 8th day of May 2023, Bob Pape, Mayor. Okay. Well, let's hopefully all get out there and ride our bikes this month anyway. At least, well, not just this month. Let's do it forever. But okay, I have several other things that aren't currently listed. Those were the proclamations, but I always like to say a little bit about what our council's been doing and some of the things that I've done during the past 2 weeks, and then also some upcoming events. So I'll just run through these quickly. But Council President Chris Hands and I attended an Arbor Day tree planting at the Crestview Elementary School. Our great public works team planted the tree there. I attended the Johnson County and Wyandotte County Mayor's Dinner. It was hosted by Bonner Springs Mayor. We got updates on the legislative session. We also selected next year's officers. Luckily, I escaped having to take any positions. And I and Christine Hands attended the Tim Murphy Art Gallery opening event. Great food, drinks, and art was seen. That will be continued to go on for the next 6 weeks, so get down there to see the art. Good job, as always, by our community center staff, Anna. Christine Hands and several city staff interviewed 5 applicants for our Public Works Director position. All were highly qualified, and I'm sure that we will be able to select one from this pool of applicants. Recommendation be forthcoming by the city administrator to the city council. Advent Health will be conducting a ribbon cutting ceremony at 7301 East Frontage tomorrow at 2:30. Everyone is welcome to attend that. And then the Cub Scouts will be holding their awards ceremony at 6:45 p.m. tomorrow at Antioch Park Shelter 3. All are welcome to attend that as well. And before our next council meeting, we will also have the Turkey Creek Festival at Antioch Park, which will be occurring on May 20th between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And contact, I'm not sure who the representative is from the community center staff, and if they want to volunteer.
Actually, the volunteer application's online.
Oh, it's online, okay. Get online if you would like to volunteer for that event. That's always fun, and it's our big event for the year. So, and then the last thing is just an item that a longtime business owner at the Merriam Feed Store, Johnny Peters, passed away, and he's a big part of the city, a friend of the city, and we obviously want to keep him and his family in prayers, but we don't know anything at this point as far as when the services will be, but that'll be forthcoming. When we find out, we'll pass that along. And I think that's all I have for the mayor's report. Okay, so next item up would be council items, and we have a Flags for Freedom request, I understand. And I think we have an individual. Please give us your name and address for the record, sir.
I am Scott Diebold, 4825 Knox, here in the lovely city of Merriam. I am here, well, first of all, thank you, the council, Mr. Mayor, for opportunity to present on behalf of the Flags for Freedom. I'm sure you're all aware, and I know you are aware, that it's one of the finest traditions we have here in the city of Merriam, held the week of the 4th of July. And it's something we want to continue from this year, and as long as we can keep it going. And because I think it is a good thing that we do here in the city, and a great way to show respect and to honor our service members, those that served in the past, our veterans, and then those that are currently serving. I'm here this evening to request opportunity to host this the week of July 1st through the 8th. So the 1st would be our setup date, and then the 8th would be the takedown day. I'm requesting that we can host this at the Market Center, and also requesting some help from Public Works to put up flags along the public streets and those kind of things. The plan is to, with volunteers, put up the flags at the marketplace, the fields there. We can take care of that. Where we need the help is being on the public streets, where Public Works can do that for us. Obviously, up and down Merriam Drive, up Johnson Drive from the railroad tracks to our western boundary, and then IKEA Way. And I believe it goes from police station to the fire station. I believe that's correct, give or take, okay? So somewhere there. So we do that. I'm here to request that help. I'd like to take a minute to thank the Public Works. I know they've put up with me. Mr. Fine over there has put up with me wanting to go through rebar multiple times, and I know we've had some rebar parties there, and thank those people that came and had fun with rebar. And so again, thank you for that. And then city staff that's helped us with multiple things as far as publicity and paperwork and printing and headings and all kinds of things. So that's what I'm here for, so I can answer any questions if anybody has anything for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. DeBoer? Okay, I see no questions.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank
Done
you.
a good job, and we appreciate your service, past service as a council person, and your continued service in the capacity of helping us.
I love the city, so be involved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
will say my husband has commandeered my car to take the flags from the World War I Museum down to Public Works, transport them all back and forth. So
Okay,
if we approve everything.
gotcha.
So I will
Okay.
be carless for a day.
Carless
Keep
for
me
a
in your
day.
thoughts and
Okay.
prayers.
Well, having no other questions, I would entertain a motion that, from someone, if they would like to so move. Mr. Silvers.
There you go.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the council provides staff support and use of city property for the 2023 Flags for Freedom event.
Okay, do I hear a second? Ms. Shadrich.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Neal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like item number 2 on the council items would be our preliminary budget presentation.
Mayor, if I could,
Oh,
I'm sorry, can I call an audible? Since we
Sure.
have folks that are in the crowd, could we move item 4 up to item 2, just since we have people that are in attendance for item 4?
Yes, sir, we can definitely do that.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Well,
Sorry, Donna.
take a seat. Oh, sure, yes, okay. Thank you. Okay, so item number 4 would be the Merriam Grand Station LLC assignment of rights. And I guess we have an individual who's going to come forward and speak at the podium. If you give us your name and address, sir.
We're going to turn it over to Joe Serrano, our bond counsel with Kutek Rock, but I'll let him answer his address.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Joe Serrano, as Chris said, Kutek Rock, special counsel to the city. Before you this evening are 3 resolutions related to the redevelopment of the former Kmart site. I wanted to provide just a slight backdrop as to why we're here this evening. Last year, the city and Merriam Grand Station, which is the developer, it's an affiliate or an entity owned by Matt Pennington and Drake Development, entered into a redevelopment agreement with the city, and the city adopted 2 resolutions of intent to issue industrial revenue bonds, one for the commercial portion, one for the apartments. Under the redevelopment agreement, it allows for the developer, Merriam Grand Station LLC, to assign its rights, duties, and obligations to an affiliate without the city's consent. However, the RDA does not allow that original developer to be released from its obligations under the development agreement without the city's consent. So Merriam Grand Station, the original developer, has assigned its rights, duties, and obligations to Merriam Grand Station X LLC. It's an affiliated entity with Merriam Grand Station, And Merriam Grand Station X has partially assigned its obligations on the development agreement to MGS Lofts, LLC. Again, it's an affiliate of the original developer, and they're affiliates of one another. These assignments are not unusual in these kind of component development type deals. So what is before you this evening is actually a resolution that releases Merriam Grand Station, the original developer, from its rights, duties, and obligations under the development agreement, and two resolutions of intent, two assignments. One assignment of the resolution of intent for the commercial development going to Merriam Grand Station X, and the other resolution of intent, which ran in favor of the original developer, to be assigned, the beneficial interest to be assigned to Merriam Grand Station Lofts for the development of the partial, or the apartments. The reason behind these deals is typically what happens is, in particular in this deal, they're going to have different lenders that will be financing the commercial piece and the apartment piece. Also, there's some accounting reasons and there's some tax implications, but again, it's not unusual for these types of deals. And again, we're not really doing much because at the beginning, Merriam Grand Station LLC, the original developer, really didn't have much capital. And these special purpose entities that will be developing each of the components will eventually have that capital. But I stand for questions. It's a little bit convoluted, but I stand for questions if you have any.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Serrano? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Caldo.
What happens if we don't do this?
Well, they have the ability to already assign. So they have already assigned the rights, duties, and obligations to the respective entities. The issue associated with the resolutions of intent, it's an implication with the Department of Revenue. They need some indication that the city is actually consenting, because there's what is called a project exemption certificate, we refer to it as a PEC, that runs in favor of the developer. That will be assigned. They'll have to sign, the new entities, the respective entities will have to sign off on what is a beneficial agreement for the PEC. That will not be processed. Now, can they do something, sleight of hand, and do something behind for off the books? Maybe, but again, these requests are not very unusual. So I don't know the true implications. I could defer to the developer if there's maybe they know a little bit more about that. But I've never had to experience that.
Thank you, Mr. Caldo. Any other questions for Mr. Serrano? Okay, well, I guess you explained it well enough. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, Ms. Ryder.
What kind of tax benefits do they get by doing this?
I don't know if it's particular tax benefits for income tax purposes, but for the sales tax exemption, each of the component entities through the resolution of intent and that project exemption certificate, each of those respective entities that will be developing will get a sales tax exemption associated with the materials that are purchased for that particular portion of the project or component. So it's a sales tax exemption associated with the project exemption certificate, which is what they already have. It's only in the name of the parent company, Merriam Grand Station LLC, as opposed to the component entities.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you,
Seeing no
Mayor.
other questions, thank you, sir. I would entertain, I think we have several motions for resolutions. I guess the first one, Ms. Hands.
Right. I'm hoping they're in the right order. We don't want to do them out of order.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first resolution should be the resolution of a release of Merriam Grand Station from the development agreements. Let me see if I can grab that one.
Which I think is the last one on my sheet. Is anyone reading with me?
I would say you're correct. That would be
Okay.
the last one.
That's why I wanted to ask that.
Yeah.
All right,
Last one is first.
right.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
move that the council approve a resolution consenting to an assignment of benefits arising under Resolution 927.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second? Ms. Shadridge.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Do we have a motion second, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Leahy?
Aye.
Councilmember Neal?
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder?
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, it looks like next,
It doesn't matter in the others.
better on the other two. Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Hands.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve a resolution acknowledging and consenting to an assignment and assumption of benefits associated with the Merriam Grand Station commercial project, which, as I understand it, is Merriam Grand Station X.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Ms. Shadrich.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Okay, a motion second. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Neal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And the third resolution. Go ahead, Ms. Hands.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve a resolution consenting to an assignment of benefits associated with the Merriam Grand Station Apartments project, which is now MGS Lofts.
Very good. Ms. Shadrich.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Neal.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, are we ready for Donna now? Okay. Director Oliver, you're up.
I've like got a password. I got you. Hey, thank you. This is never happened. It's the same as when. Can't type. Sorry. There we go. Okay, thank you. Well, as the title suggested, preliminary budget review, that's really what this is, and it's a property tax review. And so we usually take this opportunity just to remind you how property tax is calculated. So we'll go through that. We'll look at how our mill levy rate compares to other cities in the county, and then look at the budget calendar review. So as far as terminology goes with property tax, you have your assessed value, which is 11.5% for residential of your market value. You have a mill rate, which is the rate that the assessed value is taxed at. You have property tax revenues, and you have the revenue neutral rate. And we're going to go through an example that is probably going to be more beneficial than me reading the slides to you. So, how are my property taxes collected? The average house in Merriam is valued at $281,000 per the assessor's office. So if you take that $281,000 and you multiply it by the 11.5%, you get the assessed value, and that assessed value is $32,315. Our current mill levy rate is 27.665. So to get how much the property tax bill would be, you would take that assessed property times the mill levy rate, divide it by 1,000, and the property tax would be $894. Or that works out to be about $74.50 per month. Where does Merriam's mill rate compare with others? We're really right in the middle. maybe a little towards the bottom at 27.665. How much revenue do we get generated by 1 mil? That equals 262,000. So if the mill goes up or down, 1 mil, full mill, would be the impact on the budget. Our total mill rate, that's all the I cannot talk tonight. I apologize. That if you look at all the taxing jurisdictions in the county, Merriam residents pay 111.776 mills for that, which is closer to the bottom among cities. And Merriam residents pay taxes to the school district, the state of Kansas, the community college, Johnson County, and then you see the city of Merriam. We're right at 25%. Whenever we met with the appraiser's office, myself, the mayor, and the city administrator, they gave us what the preliminary assessed value rates were going to be. And this is kind of how they break out, with 52% commercial, 48% residential. And that combined is right at $261 million that the property is assessed at for the whole city. So that growth in assessed valuation, and that will get adjusted between now and the time we come back with you and look at the revenue neutral rate, whatever. But if that were to stay the same, that would be a 10.6% growth in residential and a 6.9% in commercial, for an 8.7% overall. And then the last concept that we'll be talking about in a couple of weeks is the revenue neutral rate. And again, it's the rate for the current year that would generate the same property tax as levied the previous tax year. And it doesn't allow for CPI growth or for new construction. So this slide I just copied from a presentation for last year. So this has no numbers for this year on it because I don't have those numbers yet. So just an example of how this is calculated. 2 years ago, the assessed valuation was $225 million. We had our mill rate, total property tax levy of $6.2 million. So last year when we went through this, if we would have been revenue neutral, we would have needed to have lowered our mill rate by 2.5 mils in order to just generate the 6.2 million. And so when we come to you and talk to you in a month, that's what we'll be talking about, is how much that needs to be decreased or adjusted in order to stay under the revenue mill rate. This is the 2024 budget. I'll be getting that revenue neutral rate and the final assessed valuation around June 15th. At the June 26th meeting, we'll actually have that discussion. And then we'll come and also review the draft budget with you July 10th, determine whether or not you want to exceed the revenue neutral rate, whether or not, I know one of the council goals was to potentially reduce the mill levy, so we'll be talking about all of that. And then in August, we'll actually adopt. So again, that's just a preliminary review and something to get you to think about budget. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Oliver? Yes, Mr. Silvers.
If we had voted to reduce the mill rate, or to be revenue neutral, as far as I can tell, that would have been a reduction of about $0.52 million. Is that right? $500,000, just over $500,000.
Yeah, that would have been 247 would be 500, and then half of that would be So about 620,000.
Oh, I shouldn't do math in my head.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for Director Oliver? Okay, I see none.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, it looks like the next item up on the council items is consider approval of an electrical service upgrades at the Merriam Marketplace. Looks like we have Superintendent Fine at the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm seeking approval for electrical upgrades at Merriam Marketplace. This comes like in three factors that take place in this decision. The first is the current power disconnect to shut off the panel on the inside is no longer functioning as it should, so could create a potentially unsafe condition. Secondly, it will increase the power output for future events to be held, such as Merriam Drive Live and the car show. And then lastly, it'll provide the amps and juice to power the new entrance for the Merriam Drive project for food trucks, for example. The contractor we reached out to, they are familiar with the panel. They did some slight upgrades last year around Merriam Drive Live, kind of redoing the switches so they made a little more sense. And then the other couple contractors we reached out to, they just weren't interested or they didn't provide a quote. So it's going to take about 8 to 12 weeks to get this material in, which should put us right in line with Merriam Drive Live, hopefully, and before the car show. And then lastly, it's going to cost about $31,823. So I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Yep, Mr. LaHaye, go ahead.
I know we're upgrading the service along Merriam Drive as part of the street project so that food trucks won't have to run their generators. Will this upgrade at the marketplace allow a food truck to plug in and run
Yes.
generator?
Yes. Sorry, so we're going from a 200 amp service to a 400 amp service. So yes, that was part of why we're, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Silvers?
Just from past experience, I think this is a great thing, just because I know that there has been issues with the outlets for our farmers market vendors over the past 10 years that I know of. So I think if we're going to have a location for people to come and sell their wares, that they actually have the ability to plug in and have all the resources needed. So I think this is a good upgrade.
Okay. Any other questions, Superintendent Fine? Okay, I see no other questions. I would entertain a motion then. Ms. Yadrich.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve the electrical service upgrades at Merriam Marketplace by Electrical Corporation of America in the amount of $31,823.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Ms. Hands.
I'll second that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Neal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Well, it looks like that was, went through easy enough, Superintendent Fine. Next item up, I think, is staff information, is the May CIP update.
All right. So we got one item removed. We got the pipe project was completed last go around, so only have 3 items this time. First up is 55th Street improvements. Kansas Heavy's about wrapped up with all the construction stuff. Sod's being laid right now. Expected weather permitted, this week, next week, and then we'll follow up with the pavement markings. And then the punch list will kind of finish up that project, and I feel like they'll substantially complete everything by May 31st. Next up is the Merriam Drive street improvements from Johnson Drive to 55th. BHC is still in redesign phase with all the new street and parking configuration, and then a utility meeting should be scheduled in the upcoming weeks to discuss any new conflicts that may have arisen from those changes. And then lastly, BHC, for the 50th Terrace England Street to Kessler Drainage Project, BHC delivered the plans. I actually got to see them, so they're looking good. And then we're going to meet tomorrow to discuss those plans and tweak anything. And then, I believe, is it Friday? Is that the 12th? We're having a utility meeting to discuss, the utility issues. And before I jump into questions, I just want to update you on 75th Street. Curb's looking good. I did see a milling machine up there, so hopefully we'll have the mill and overlay portion done with that. And then the bridge, Overland Park said the notice to proceed is anticipated around mid-June, so they're doing all that for us. So
Great.
look forward to updating you on that as well. Any questions?
Do you know, will they let you know a day ahead before they start mill and overlay, do you think?
I can try to keep up with them. They're usually not very like, hey, just so you know, but
No,
we'll
our neighbors seem to really appreciate it when we warn them.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I will do my best to reach out and put my ear to the ground.
Any other questions, Superintendent Fine? Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay, it looks like the next item up would be, if we had any questions for Director Slocum, would be the Park and Recreation Advisory Board minutes were in our packet. So everybody good with that? No questions for her? I see no questions for you, Director Slocum. Mr. Engel, we have any other staff items that?
Just have two items, Mayor. First item, legislative breakfast will be Friday, May 19th. That'll be at the Merriam Community Center. So that was kind of a last-minute addition from the chamber. So that's a chamber-hosted event. That's a breakfast from 7:30 to 9:30. I believe all the Northeast State Legislature representatives have been invited. And again, at the Merriam Community Center. So 7:30 to 9:30, please RSVP with Jennifer if you're interested and able to attend. And then the other item is in recognition of Public Service Week, if council could stick around after the meeting for a picture or two with Jenna so we can celebrate you as public servants also. So please stick around for, if you can, for a couple minutes afterwards. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Engel? Okay, looks like I see no questions for Mr. Engel. No executive session, I assume, so, okay. Well, at this point, it's not a record, but I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
And I would be happy to provide that motion. I
Ms.
move
Haynes.
we adjourn.
Second,
I'd be
please.
happy to second that.
Tricia Aldridge seconds. Madam Clerk,
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
thank you.